Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
They want to learn English. That's their top priority. Their second priority is they want to learn how to drive. They want to have a place where they can leave their kids while they go out and work in a place where they can trust. But they just need to be loved. They need to be embraced.
I'm Elaine Cha. Community is a noun ascribed to groups of people who share something, like an area they inhabit, values they embrace, activities they enjoy or pursue. Yet the experience of community goes far beyond a label. It takes resourcefulness and resources of all sorts. Having a dedicated place for community building, especially for people who've been displaced by war and its collateral harms, provides space and opportunity for making the best of a new home and a new life. The newly opened Afghan Community Center and creation of the Afghan Chamber of Commerce are meant to support just that. Joining me in studio to talk about these developments are Moji Siddiqui, Afghan Community Development Program Manager at the International Institute of St. Louis. Welcome.
Thank you, Elaine.
And Gal Totakil, a business owner who has been living in St. Louis for 30 years. Moji and Gal, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moji, this past Friday, you were at the grand opening of the new community center for St. Louis's Afghan community. Reaching that point took months of work. What was the reason for creating that center?
So essentially, it's part of the Afghan Support Programs initiative is to launch a Afghan Community Center, an Afghan Chamber of Commerce, an Afghan newspaper. We have coding class, scholarships, startup grants. But also, of course, is so that the Afghan community can have a space to harness Afghan identity, a place for healing, growth, training classes, a place where the kids can come and play and get to know each other, a place where the greater St. Louis region can come and join forces with the Afghan community to help the assimilation process, and a place where we can have fun and be Afghan and express our culture.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's a place for services and support and sanctuary, kind of all in one.
Yes.
Now, Afghan refugees here have escaped war, and hundreds began arriving in St. Louis the summer of 2021. Now, since then, what have Afghan families been doing to build new lives here? So, Moji, tell us a bit about what has changed for these families now that they've been here for up to a year and a half.
Yes, well, with the overwhelming support of St. Louis's philanthropic community at an organization level, at a faith level, and just your everyday St. Louisan, they've just embraced our Afghan refugees full-heartedly, and an overwhelming number of our Afghan arrivals are already employed, way over 50%. I think they're in the 80% that have already been employed. Kids are in school. I know from when the kids first started in the Soccer Saturday programming that we had, they didn't speak a word of English. Now they're running around speaking English, no accent. The ladies are also working. It's just the assimilation process is incredible to observe.
So given that kind of development that has happened, and then finally the opening of the community center, Gul, you were there as well, and you saw it through the eyes of someone who came to St. Louis about 30 years ago from Afghanistan. What was it like to start a new life here back in the 1990s?
Well, right now it's way easier than it used to be. When I came in here, it was not easy, especially the social media, the internet and all that make life a lot easier than it used to be. When I got my permit at the time, there was no GPS, so I had to use a paper map. And I was driving in one direction. I was like, my house is, I think, in the south or north. I would just keep driving to find my road, actually. Right. So right now it's easy, and first of all, thanks for the opportunity for having and inviting us here.
Oh, of course.
And so this is a major step for our community to open the United States Afghan Chamber of Commerce and the Afghan Community Center. So now we officially have an office, and we're excited about it. And we thank for the support of the organizations and the people who help us in these steps, and we will help and support our people, our community, and what they say, whatever you get, you give back to the community. So we will be helping and give back to the St. Louis community, and we appreciate whoever help us in this process.
Sure, go ahead.
And, I've been part of this community for a long time, especially the St. Louis Afghan community, and, we've been helping them ever since they've been here. So it's easy right now to connect, since we have the office, with people helping them through the process of, settling, especially the new arrivals.
And when you were at the grand opening, and you've mentioned it was not just the community center, but the creation of the Afghan Chamber of Commerce, were there any personal memories that were coming to mind specifically about community and community building as you were watching what was happening at the grand opening on Friday?
Yes, it is. And imagine we had 20 families back then when I came in 91, and now we have over maybe almost 1,000. And
over 3,000.
Over
yes.
3,000. So it's a major step right now. And I think the community needs us, and, this community center and the Chamber of Commerce will help, for people who want to establish a business and,
right.
Opening a new business and helping them. Before we were just kind of helping them through individuals and here and there, whoever asks. Right now we'll have an office, so it will be easy for them and for us to reach out to those people who need our help.
And in terms of the newly arrived people, thinking about taking this path to become entrepreneurs, what do they need to know that they might not already be aware of?
Through business perspective, it's way different than what we have back home.
Is there one example of that?
Yes, it is. So right now in here in this country, it's the process of opening a business and establishing. It's way different than back home. Here, you have to register. You have to have experience. You have to have financial support in order to open a business. And back home, you don't have to have a federal ID number or tax ID number. You can just open a shop and run a business. But here's the difference. So that's very important for people who wants to open a business, and they have to know that, yes, I'm capable of opening this business and running this business and have enough capital to stay in the business for a while, because it's not easy in here. I have seen a lot of people that have failed in this businesses because they don't have enough capital. They think, yes, so opening my door, I will bring the business and profit in the first day. No, that doesn't happen like that. It takes a long time. You have to have enough financial support to open a business, and I have seen people like that, and I've helped people like that before. To just, I kind of explain it to them that how the process of the business and working here. I just make sure you have a business plan before you starting your business,
right.
And that's the first step and first success. If you don't have a good business plan, it can be failed very easily.
And that is true for anyone, not just Afghan refugees.
Exactly.
So that the sharing of experience and knowledge certainly seems like something that's very positive. And Moji, when you were interacting with families, were they telling you that they wanted the kind of help that Gal is describing?
Yes, well, we've done intentional work to host events where we bring in different community members, including women groups, and gauge them, ask them, what do you want? What do you want to see? What can we provide for you? And based on their feedback, we're going to be creating these programs and services. For example, the women, they want to learn English. That's their top priority. Their second priority is they want to learn how to drive and get their driver's licenses. Their third priority is they want to have a place where they can leave their kids while they go out and work in a place where they can trust. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that we're working on. And credit building, for example, is something that we didn't have in Afghanistan, right? In order to apply for a loan, you have to have credit. So that's something that the Chamber is going to be focusing on as well, is that type of financial literacy training.
We're going to take a very quick break here. When we come back, we will continue this conversation. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio. Now back to our conversation about St. Louis's newly opened Afghan Community Center and the Afghan Chamber of Commerce. Gal, it can be so difficult for those who have had to flee a home country to understand, or for those who have not had to flee a home country, to understand what it's like to have to leave, right, in order to escape war, and then to start over in a way that is not the same as immigrating by choice. And this is something that has come up in conversations that we have had about Bosnian refugees who've come to St. Louis. What do the families who are here right now, what do they need to begin really building communities here? Apart from the business, what are some of the other things?
I think they need a support, especially they need a support from the people who live in here, just in Afghan people that have settled before they coming in here. They need their support. And when I came in here, when I would see somebody from Afghanistan, I would hug them. It's like, oh, I see my own people in here, and I need help. And, so these people need our support, and that's why we're there for them more than anything else. And that's kind of lead them to a further process of their living. For example, finding them a job, help them with the apartments and help them with the permits and licenses, and help them with medicals and take them to the hospital. Just like these people came in 2021, and they were, even the International Institute could not handle them. So, we went there as a community, just told them that, we're here to help. Mm-hmm. And knocking each door, since most of them were living in hotels, and just taking them from the hotel, take them for shopping, take them to the hospitals, and take them to their religion centers, and we've been helping them. So this was the big support for them when they see their people. Yes, they can communicate with you. Some people don't understand English.
Of course.
And ask you what they need. So this was the big step, for them. So we were just taking them everywhere and helping them through any need that whatever they needed it,
So whatever comes up, you were there for them.
Exactly. Most of the Afghans helped them,
Mm-hmm. Moji, what do you have in terms of observations and maybe more specific examples of those everyday kind of things?
Yeah, so when you're resettling and you're coming from a country that has been through decades of war, and then you had 20 years of hope building, and all of a sudden overnight you lose your country, and now you're resettled, then you're going through through this refugee process, you're, being bumped from camp to camp and state to state. Now you're here in a new city. I think that for the folks that don't know what resettlement looks like, this is a great opportunity for them to learn. It's an education opportunity for both ends. But resources are absolutely needed, right? Educational resources, language workshops, financial literacy, cultural orientation, cultural sensitivity training for both ends. But I think that what's really needed is love. And it's like appropriate, we're talking about love on Valentine's Day, but really just like the embracing of a community that's been traumatized. They're on survival mode. And I know that because I've been a refugee, not to the extent that they have, because their story obviously is very unique with the Taliban and everything that happened in August of 2021. But they just need to be loved. They need to be embraced. And over time, their needs will be met. And we're working very hard. And, the Institute's focus is, let's focus on what these needs are and then meet them. I think love, let's just embrace them. And St. Louis has done such a great job of embracing them with love and thinking outside the box and nurturing the children and nurturing the women and exposing them, and exposure to St. Louis and the opportunities that St. Louis has. Even for women, St. Louis is one of the cities where there are more women startup businesses than there are in other regions in America. So they just need to be exposed and given love and embraced.
And when it comes to supporting the Afghan community, not just that has newly arrived, but those who've been here for some time, you've talked about the services that are coming through this new community center. Can you recall a person or a family, perhaps someone you've been able to help with a combination, not just of the services, but that love that you're talking about?
Yes. There's so many examples, right? Because we've had so many families, and we're working alongside so many different organizations, and they're doing incredible philanthropic work. But one example that comes to my mind is a family who's a family of 11 total, and Welcome Neighbor STL, in partnership with Humankind STL, donated a van to them a few weeks ago, and the photos of the family when they first got to sit in the van brought me to tears. It's something that small that to us who've been living here for a long time, purchasing a car might not be a big deal, but to a family who have now, their father has his driver's license and their one oldest son who has a job, now they don't have to rely on their volunteer family to drive them from A to B to Z. Now they don't have to wait and, based on the bus schedule to get to work, to get to school. Now they're more mobile, and that's just so exciting. Also, part of the Afghan support program is the tech distribution that we had, so that we can eliminate the issue of not having access to the internet, not having access to a phone. We eliminated that, and so every single Afghan family that has resettled in St. Louis has been given a brand new phone and an iPad per household, and every device allows up to 10 phones to have unlimited internet access. So those are just two examples that come to mind, but the examples are endless.
And what does that make possible? That access to those devices and the technology, what does that enable them to do that they otherwise would not be able to do?
Well, for one, they get to communicate with their family that's abroad, right? Because they have access to social media. Two, they're able to do their homework, right? They have internet, and these plans are already prepaid for 24 months. So they don't have to worry about the cost of a phone bill. They don't have to worry about the cost of an internet bill. And just having access to being able to, like Gul said, back in our days when we first came and resettled, we didn't have GPS. We had to look at the map, and I'm always lost. Even with GPS, I'm still lost. I don't have the greatest navigation skills.
I just passed the street one time, and it came back again. I was like, maybe GPS is wrong.
Well, I've done that with the, the highways, and ended up going in lots of circles. Fortunately, I was alone when that happened. But no, Gul, there is still an ongoing process of adjustment that people in Afghanistan are making. And in 2021, there were nearly 1,000 Afghans who came to St. Louis as refugees. And 2021 obviously is when the U.S. troops withdrew and the Taliban took over Afghanistan. When you talk with people in community, Gal, what do they talk about as far as the conditions there, and what made them able to escape?
Well, when they through the past experience, when the Taliban came in again in I think mid-90s, so they had a bad experience with them, so kind of that scared them, and they were thinking it's probably the same chaos what they had in the past. So it wasn't as bad, but whatever happened in the country, everybody wants to leave, and they didn't have opportunity to leave, and the airports were full of people, and it was amazing how to escape from the country, and the United States helped them. Most of them were actually working for the United States, people who came in. Or their SIB, what they call, and employed by the international community or the United States. So it wasn't easy. It's not easy living your hometown. It doesn't matter how it is. If you're living a luxury life or you're living under a tent, it doesn't matter. You're just like, you're happy over there. You have a peaceful life over there. So it's just nobody's happy just living their country. Only they're forced to leave. So whoever wants to leave, and they're enforced, and they try to, they escape for their lives, And they had a bad experience with them, and things are not as bad as at the time, but it's not easy living your hometown and going to other country, and then you have to start all over. And it just like when I came in the first time, I was just thinking, hey, where the sun is coming from? It's just like totally different to me.
What do you hope to see, just in one sentence, what do you hope to see happen next with the community center? Moji?
I would like to see kids running around, smiling, mamas feeling like they found a space where they can thrive and grow.
Gal, what do you hope to see?
Well, same thing, and I want all the communities to come together, and we want to help them, and this is a good opportunity for them, to get together, get united, introduce with each other, and probably some of the people that don't even know each other. So this is a good opportunity for them, to meet and new people and new arrivals, and help them, and maybe through any way we can.
This is Gal Totakil, who is speaking with us, a business owner who has been living in St. Louis for 30 years, and Moji Siddiqui, Afghan Community Development Program Manager at the International Institute. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you, Elaine.
This episode was produced by Danny Wissentowski and Avery Rogers,
with audio engineering by Aaron Dorr.
This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Our podcast proudly supports St. Louis artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.